Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Willow and I am very disappointed to say that I was on Facebook earlier and I already saw various posts coming up on my feed being like, Christmas is just around the corner, I'm so excited, and talking about the incoming holiday as if one specific special holiday just doesn't exist. And listen, I don't care. Like, if Christmas genuinely, makes you happy, lights up your world or whatever, if that's your cup of tea, fucking drink it. I don't care. But I just don't understand the need to celebrate it in September. It's just my deep-rooted hatred for Christmas. But every time I see a post about how Christmas is coming up, I just have the desire to yeet myself off the roof. And not with a gang of 8 reindeer. Or was there 9?
You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen.
Was Rudolph the 8th reindeer or the 9th reindeer? I don't know. I don't fucking care. Christmas has never been my cup of tea, but I've always greatly enjoyed Halloween. It's always been super fun, and I can't say that I've always loved horror movies because that would definitely be false. When I was a child, I was terrified of literally everything, and then life just got stressful and I started watching horror movies and I found out that I actually really liked them and I just wasn't afraid anymore because the real world is more terrifying than the things that happen on a screen. I just also just like the aesthetic of Halloween and like fall 10 times better than winter and Christmas. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite movies and books, Carrie. Carrie is one of the first horror movies I ever watched, and it's something that really got me more interested in the horror genre because this movie, especially to me, wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I remember when I was little, I would be flipping through the DVD case looking for my Barbie movies, and my mom had the DVD of Carrie, and the cover picture was just this girl standing dripping in blood. I was like, why would anyone want to watch a movie like that? And then I was maybe 14 years old and I was on a kick watching sad movies about bullying and not great high school experiences to make my high school experience maybe seem a little less shitty in retrospect. So I literally Googled movies about bullying and the movie Carrie popped up, and I read a little bit about it and I found out that it was about a bullied girl who got vengeance at prom, and then I had a sudden desire to watch it. So I did. And then I fell down a rabbit hole of actually liking spooky movies. And then I realized that everything else just isn't as thrilling to me. And Carrie did serve to make me feel better about my high school experience. I mean, sure, I never became prom queen, but I didn't kill a bunch of people at my prom. The movie Carrie actually ended up keeping me awake at night the first time I watched it. It genuinely spooked me out, and it's not because oh, she killed these people at prom. I thought that was really badass and cool. But just the way the whole story played out, I always had this thought in my head that was holy shit, was Carrie just a girl who had enough and sought revenge on her bullies? Or was she destined for destruction from the moment she was conceived? And I don't know, maybe it's obvious that's what you were supposed to get from Carrie, and maybe I was just late to the game in figuring out what Carrie was supposed to be about and everything. But I don't know, once I sort of got the whole concept of Carrie, it became a lot creepier to me once I dug a little deeper and analyzed a little further. I personally do think Carrie White's fate was unfortunately set in stone from the moment she was born. And I'm going to talk about it. I need something first. I got this from the children's section of Dollar Tree. It has like these really sharp pieces on the side that are like cutting into my scalp, which is really fun. Let's talk about the movie. So, the novel Carrie was published by Stephen King, of course, in 1974, with the first movie adaptation starring the iconic Sissy Spacek in 1976, with an attempted sequel, The Rage, Carrie 2, in 1999, which like wasn't even an official thing, like it was just a remake they tried to do, and then 2 remakes of the classic Carrie story in 2002 and 2013, and a musical adaptation of Carrie, which was first created in 1988, I believe. And Riverdale also had a musical episode where they did Carrie, which was truly horrifying. The story focuses on Carrie White, a 16-year-old girl who lives with her religious mother. Carrie was the product of Ralph and Margaret White and was conceived while the two weren't married. And obviously Margaret sees this as a major sin. Like, you know the rule, don't rock the bed unless you're wed. Margaret broke that rule and got pregnant. At first she sort of just assumed that the pregnancy was like a sickness, a cancer, and a punishment from God for sinning. And she believed that Carrie was always a sin, and once she gave birth to Carrie, thank you, motorcycle. Margaret considers killing Carrie right when she was a baby, when she was first born, but ultimately decided against it. Why she decided against it, I'm really not entirely sure, because the whole movie she's like preaching about how sin never dies and you can't really get rid of it, yet she didn't want to get rid of what she believed was one of the biggest sins of all time right then and there. She was still her daughter, I guess, and she still kind of wanted to see how this would play out. And maybe she thought if she raised her right, she could just love the devil right out of her. So Margaret obviously resents Carrie because she sees her as nothing more than a sin and raises her very religiously. Carrie lacks most of the social knowledge that 16-year-old girls would have. She doesn't even really know basic things that you learn in like 6th grade when you're forced to learn about puberty and shit. I don't know. There was a scene from the book which describes Carrie as a little girl, and she is outside and she sees her older neighbor topless, like sunbathing outside, or she was like wearing a swimsuit or something where you could see that she had breasts. You know, Carrie walks up to her and she's like, "What are those?" And the neighbor explains that they're her breasts. But what a sad world to live in where you don't know what breasts are. By the way, Margaret refers to them as dirty pillows, which I think is kind of hilarious. Like, imagine flirting these days, but instead of being like, "Show me your tits," they're like, "I want to see them dirty pillows." Ew, never mind. Anyways, Carrie comments that she wishes she had some breasts, too. And the neighbor girl's like, "Aw, don't worry, you'll get some when you're older." To which Carrie sort of explains, she's like, "No, my mama told me that only sinners get those." Well, Margaret rushes outside and sees her daughter talking to a woman who has dirty pillows, and she loses her shit. She drags Carrie inside, and this is where we see the first instance of Carrie's powers. While she's screaming at Carrie, Carrie's yelling in return. It's like stones start falling from the sky, just raining down on their town. It destroyed like their house. And like neighbors went outside and were just like, "Oh, look at what's happening over at the White House. Apparently no one thought to, like, see if the child was okay or really do anything. They kind of just looked at it as if that was normal. Honey, bring your umbrella. The forecast called for stones today. They treated it a little too normally than they should have. By the time Carrie was 16, it was obvious that she did not relate to her classmates at all. In fact, they hated her.
You eat shit.
This is causing me pain. One thing I hate about the movie versions of Carrie is they made her more conventionally attractive, especially the 2013 remake version, but all of them I feel like were relatively attractive, when in the books Carrie was more heavyset. She was extremely awkward. She had like acne, which is normal for a teenager to have, by the way. But then in the movies, like, fucking Chloe Grace Moretz, are you kidding? She's so pretty. But anyways, one day, after the usual gym class bullying, Carrie goes to the locker rooms to shower after their gym class with her classmates, and she gets an unfortunate surprise. Her first period. Carrie was uneducated on what this was or what it meant, so she saw the blood and she assumed that she was dying. She pleads for help from her classmates. I kind of related to Carrie on that aspect. By the time I watched this movie, I had already gotten my first period. I got it when I was 12. And when I got mine, I had a vague idea of what it was. Like, I didn't think I was dying. But I didn't know how to handle it because basically all I knew was that I was going to start bleeding one day. And that was it. So one night, I noticed some, like, blood in the toilet after I peed or something. And I just ignored it. I was like, nah. It didn't happen, because I thought if I ignored my problems, they would go away. Well, the next morning, on the bus ride to school, it did not go away. So then at school, I awkwardly had to find one of my friends and cry to them and tell them that I got my first period, and I didn't know what to do. A teacher found us awkwardly running through the hallways as I was crying and freaking the fuck out, and I got sent home for the day. And when I came back the next day, a bunch of boys like awkwardly approached me because they'd heard about what happened the day before, and it was really embarrassing. Where are those telekinetic powers when you need them? Carrie's classmates are anything but helpful, and instead of like helping her, telling her she's not dying, they grab pads and tampons and start throwing them at her and telling her to plug it up. I wish I could plug up their mouths. Only one girl shows even the tiniest bit of remorse, and that's Sue Snow, who's kind of like the epitome of like the popular girl who's low-key friends with everybody. And the ringleader of the torment is Sue's very own best friend, Chris Hargensen. Fucking bitch. Hearing all the ruckus going on in the locker room, the gym teacher, Miss Desjardins, or Miss Collins in the first movie, or Miss Gardner in the musical, I'm just gonna call her Miss Desjardins, comes in, and she's not helpful either. She storms in, hearing them all like screaming, and she's like, oh, they're just teasing Carrie again. In the 1976 movie, she literally walks in, she's like, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? Is this a pep rally? What's happening? She's about as helpful in the situation as Carrie's classmates. Instead of being really like reassuring, she slaps Carrie across the face, and Loki agrees with her, the classmates in thinking that Carrie's just stupid. She's sort of just like, Carrie, stand up and take care of yourself. It's your fucking period.
Come on, grow up. Stand up and take care of yourself. Come on, do it. Do it.
In the movie adaptation, she's more understanding, and in the musical version, she's way too understanding. But she wasn't that nice in the book. In this huge debacle in the locker room, we see another instance of Carrie's powers when, in her fit of freaking out, the light above her fizzles and pops and goes out. And obviously everyone's like, oh my god, what just happened? The Lord said, let there be light. Carrie White said, fuck no. Miss Desjardins is talking to the principal after the incident, and he's awful too. Gym teacher confesses that she low-key wished she could have just tormented Carrie too, because it was just her period, for God's sake.
I knew how they felt. See, the whole thing just made me want to take her and shake her too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was just her period, for God's sake.
They still decide to send Carrie home for the day, and the principal, calls her in to dismiss her and literally butchers her name way too many times.
Miss Finch, you're sending Cassie, right?
It's Carrie White.
Come in, Cassie.
Carrie.
Take care of yourself, Cassie. Well, sorry about this incident, Cassie.
It's literally not even a rare name, dude. It's Carrie. It's a basic ass name. It's just Carrie. Even if you don't like the bitch, like, it's not that hard to get your name right. She calls the wrong name, and as Carrie walks out, an ashtray that was sitting on the desk falls off the desk and, like, breaks. Don't worry, guys. Soon you'll all know that her name is Cassie. Shit. Anyways, Carrie's walking home from school, and she passes by this boy who's riding his bike, and he's chanting, "Creepy Carrie, creepy Carrie, creepy Carrie," which, shouldn't he be in school too? Like, why the fuck was he out riding his bike? And as he rides past Carrie and calls her that, then she straight up just looks at him and, like, he falls off of his bike. Carrie gets home where her mother insists that she's a woman now and hits her with the Bible and orders her to pray. She blames Carrie for getting her period, saying she sinned and that her sin is what caused this to occur.
Sin. You showered with those other girls. You had lust-filled thoughts.
Everyone has to shower, Mama. Everyone. That's just
you
the
are different.
rules.
Pretty sure personal hygiene is alright.
Talk to me.
Say it.
Please just talk
And
to me.
Eve was weak.
Just talk to
And
me,
the
please. I
first
just
sin
want you to talk
was
to
a
me.
sin of
Carrie begs for comfort, but instead Margaret shoves her into the prayer closet and orders her to pray. Come on, Margaret, you should know that no one belongs in a closet.
God, you suck!
Inside the prayer closet, Carrie has an outburst where she obviously doesn't want to pray because she just had a very traumatic day. And then this, like, Jesus sculpture behind her starts bleeding. So, like I said, it was probably pretty obvious to everyone else, but, like, I never really linked the two together before. I was just like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. She's getting powers. Never, like, her powers are growing stronger every time she, like, moves further away from what's right. Carrie decides to research her powers, and she thinks they're pretty cool. Miss Desjardins did show a tiny bit of remorse for what happened over the weekend. It talks about in the book. Not enough, but a little bit. We'll give her a C for the attempt.
And spit out that gum.
Where'll I put it, Miss Collins? You can choke on it for all I care. Just get it out of your mouth.
Her punishment was pretty badass, though, I'll admit. She lectured all of the girls who were, throwing pads and tampons at Carrie and said, "You guys did a shitty thing yesterday. A really shitty thing." Did any of you ever stop to think that Carrie White has feelings? Do any of you ever stop to think? Which is kind of fucked up because, like, she was just acting like Carrie didn't matter, like, 2 days ago, but okay. She says they're either going to attend her detention as punishment, which she's a gym teacher, so they're gonna get a workout,
There's one little catch.
It's to be my detention.
or the alternative punishment is missing prom, which obviously no one wants to do that. Most of the girls were irritated, but ultimately decide that they want to go to prom, so they take the detention, where they get a great workout. However, Chris Hargensen isn't very pleased. She felt that being put in this detention was wrong because she insists that she didn't do anything wrong.
Well, there are 10 minutes left. Stick them up your...
Sue tells her to just shut up.
Shut up, Chris. Just shut up.
Of course, she refuses to partake in the gym class and gets kicked out of the prom.
You're out of prom and you're out of my class, now.
No.
No?
And decides that it's all Carrie White's fault. Relax, Chris. Take an ibuprofen. Carrie literally wasn't even there when they were forced to run. If anything, seek vengeance on your fucking gym teacher. She's the one who sort of, like, switched it up on them. 1 minute low-key agreeing with them and then being like, hey, you're out of prom if you don't do this punishment for the shitty thing you did. Because of her guilt, Sue decides to ask her boyfriend, Tommy Ross, to take Carrie White to the prom instead of herself, because apparently she saw the way that Carrie looks at Tommy in class because he defended her over, like, a poem when the teacher made fun of her.
Yes? Any criticisms?
It's beautiful.
Carrie White. Beautiful. 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 beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain? Is that the beautiful you mean, is it, Carrie?
You suck.
Tommy? Did you say something, Tommy?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
I said, aw, shucks.
I'm sorry, but that's a really weird way of apologizing. Like, I'm sorry, here's my boyfriend. Imagine how awkward it would be if she was a lesbian.
I didn't sin.
You showered with those other girls. You had
Lust-filled thoughts.
This is definitely fruity.
But, like, according to her religion, like, they know she's religious. They make fun of her because she's religious, and her apology is giving her a man? We know how those boys dance at prom, Sue. After really not that much convincing, Tommy agrees to take Carrie to the prom. Was your relationship stable, Tommy? That wasn't nearly enough convincing to me. Carrie begins planning for the prom and tells her mom she's been invited.
I've been asked to prom. Mama, I've been asked to prom.
Carrie's mom isn't happy.
He'll hurt you.
Boys after the blood comes boys sniffing, slobbering like dogs. They applaud you. They find out that blood smell comes from. He's gonna take you, Carrie, in his car out to the wilderness out where it's cold.
Carrie has another outburst with her powers, demanding to her mom that she is in fact going to that prom.
not moving.
No, Mama.
You're gonna go to your closet and you're gonna pray. You're gonna get in there. You're gonna pray for forgiveness.
No, never again, Mama.
And there's nothing Margaret can do to convince her otherwise. This was really a turning point in their mother-daughter relationship, because I think this is where Margaret really realized that Carrie was not really salvageable at this point in the eyes of her religion, and that she was just too far into this to be stopped.
Witch.
I'm not a witch, Mama.
The devil's got her now.
This was also really the first time she saw Carrie's powers coming in hard.
Maybe it came from Daddy.
He gave me a cancer. I thought your daddy gave me a cancer.
No!
You're savage, man.
Where are you at, Mama? I'm going.
By him who has the power to consign you to hell. So along with your
Then nothing's gonna stop me.
Chris decides that she wants to exact revenge on Carrie because she doesn't want to miss her prom. And she convinces her boyfriend, Billy, to help with this.
I want you to do something.
What?
Something important. Oh, Billy. Billy, I hate Carrie White.
Who?
I know they're all assholes, but like, did none of them have any logic? Do literally none of them see how this is wrong? Or like, it's just way too much effort for somebody that they hate. Like, you're gonna specifically go out and kill pigs, fill a bucket with blood, set up the elaborate trap, just for a fucking prank because you got kicked out of prom? It's so fucking extra. Have you never heard of a good old-fashioned fist fight? All Chris had to do so she wouldn't be banned from the prom is like some extra gym class. Come on, girl, free workout. Anyways, Carrie's getting ready to leave for the prom, and her mother is begging her not to go. She comments on how Carrie is even wearing the devil's color, red.
Red. I might have known it would be red.
It's paint, Mama.
In the book, the dress that Carrie wore was actually red. She made it herself, and when they made the movie versions, they switched it to pink because they thought it would look better visually to have the blood against a pink dress instead of against a red dress. And I agree, it did visually look amazing. But it's kind of awkward when her mom's like, you're wearing the devil's color, and then she has to be like, it's pink, Mama. Margaret starts explaining to her that there's going to be a judgment and everyone's going to laugh at her, and Carrie's like, yeah, right, you're just trying to psych me out. And decides she's going to go to prom anyways. Carrie, sweetie, you might be girl bossing a little too close to the sun. Margaret's words are anything but kind, and there's definitely like some abuse, religious abuse going on there. But like, how was Carrie not at least the least bit concerned by that? It didn't deter her at all. Like, there's no way Margaret could have just pulled that prediction out of her ass, right? Like, did she hear the juicy gossip from Chris herself about the prank? Was she just spewing out gossip to keep her daughter home, like hoping that it would prove to be true? Was it just convenient for her that the school bully had this like elaborate prank set up on the exact night Carrie was defying her mom? This whole time, technically Margaret had been saying she could see the sin inside of Carrie, and now she's saying there's going to be a judgment, and Carrie's not even the least bit like concerned. Or even if not her mother, like, is she not the least bit suspicious of the prom in general? Like 2 weeks ago, they were all throwing tampons at you. Like, even though her mother's cruel, I would still take extreme caution when attending that prom, because literally they just hated her like 2 days ago. So I actually forgot about this scene where Carrie literally was sus of being taken to prom by Tommy, and she tried talking to the stupid gym teacher, and the gym teacher's like, why are you upset? You got invited to prom. And Carrie literally was like, I know who they go around with, they're just gonna trick me. And the gym teacher literally goes, no, you're probably fine. And then proceeds to ask her why she's such a Debbie Downer. I don't know, bitch. Maybe because 2 days ago they were throwing tampons at me? I don't know. And, like, did no one question Tommy Ross on why he was bringing Carrie to prom? Or even, like, the gym teacher is like, why are y'all bringing her to prom? But then she just lets it slide. She's like, alright, whatever. Like, someone needed to be a little more sus about this. So, in this scene, Miss Collins actually was talking to Tommy and Sue about it. She's kind of like, what the fuck, guys? Like, what's your plan here? What's your motive? And she's actually kind of sweet here. She's like, I'm not gonna let you hurt Carrie again. Like, what's your stupid plan? But then they're just like, no, we're just trying to give her a normal night and stuff. And then the fucking gym teacher has to be like, well, don't you think you're gonna look stupid showing up with Carrie White? And Sue's like, no, we don't care how we look. And then they're just like, okay, cool. They get into prom, and Carrie sees her name and Tommy's name on the election ballots. And Tommy convinces Carrie that they should just go ahead and vote for themselves. He says, to the devil with false modesty, and Carrie repeats, to the devil.
Come on. To the devil with false modesty.
The devil.
Which I think is a really nice detail in the story. It kind of shows like the last little bit of Carrie's good girl leaving. And obviously she wasn't literally signing her soul to the devil on a prom ballad, but it sort of was just like, you know, those last moments before sin took over and literally all hell broke loose. Carrie and Tommy win prom king and queen because the ballots were rigged by Chris, and once again, like, no one was suspicious. They had to know that they didn't vote for Carrie, right? Like, I'm sorry, but, like, they had to know that not that many people would have voted for Carrie. And Carrie had to know that, too. Like, why all of a sudden were these people who hated you be voting for you for prom queen? Because of your glow up? Regardless, Carrie and Tommy share a beautiful slow dance, and it would be lovely if the movie could just end right there. A happy ending for them all, except for Sue, because I guess Tommy's not her man anymore. Or if they survived, would he just like stop acknowledging Carrie after that? Like, one night, that's it, then I'm done with you forever. But then of course they had to go up onto that stage, and the blood was dropped by Chris. Sue even tried to warn them too, but they're like, nope, stop trying to ruin this for Carrie. Tommy dies by being struck on the head with the bucket that dumped the blood. You can even sort of see the moment where Carrie kind of loses touch with reality. She's kind of there for a second, like taking it all in, and then her mother's words start to haunt her, and she imagines them all laughing at her. In the book, I think it was described that she actually could tell that they wanted to laugh at her, but they just, all of them weren't literally laughing, but she could tell that more people wanted to than actually did. The power took hold of her, and she slammed the door shut, killed a lot of people. And she wasn't even satisfied after that. She had to take on the town as well. Then she sort of finds herself again, like she comes back into touch with reality and really internalizes what she'd done, and she finds herself back on her mother's doorstep where she realizes her mother was right the whole time, and goes back into her house and finds it like all lit up with candles and stuff. Margaret was awaiting Carrie's return. She cleans herself off after the night and finds her mother and tells her mother that she was right. Carrie's ready to pray now. But Margaret says now is not the time for prayer, and she stabs Carrie, and Carrie survives that, and they kind of get into a little tussle. Before Margaret could officially kill Carrie, Carrie killed Margaret by stopping her heartbeat with her powers, or in the movies, she pinned her Jesus style to the wall with various kitchen objects. Once again, because it was more visually appealing. Then the house starts to crumble and fall, and Carrie stays in the house and presumably dies right alongside her mother. I was always left wondering if Carrie didn't kill everyone at prom, would she have lived? Would she just start going back to her prayer closet and family dinners with Margaret? Something that truly makes this movie terrifying to me is I sort of interpreted it as losing the last of her faith, and everything her mother said was correct about her. And mind you, I don't believe everyone born of unmarried parents is automatically a sin and gonna turn into the devil and get powers, but for the sake of the movie and analyzing it like that, Carrie was born a sin that Margaret tried to vanquish. Like Elsa's parents, she wanted Carrie to conceal, don't feel, don't let them show. Well, now they know, Margaret. Now they know. You can't just push your problems into a closet and hope they go away. Margaret's attempts to vanquish the sin and raise Carrie correctly backfired, obviously, and Carrie wanted to take control of her own life, and in turn, her powers got super, super strong, and the devil got a hold of her, and she killed a bunch of people. She probably never stood a chance. She had the powers since she was little, and they were probably always bound to come out at some time. Some things just pushed her over the edge. And it was like every time she defied the ways of the Lord, her powers got stronger. But she just thought it was something super cool, and she ignored Margaret's warnings about it being something devilish. Even if it wasn't prom night, I think Carrie would have had some form of judgment, but also Margaret believed that prom was such a terrible, awful sin too, because she's like, I know how them boys be dancing, and she describes that. There's a whole song about it in the musical, and so she believes that's a huge sin, so it kind of makes sense that her judgment would be prom night, the thing she was forbidden to do, something she wasn't supposed to do, so that's kind of her little judgment, seeing if she passed the test of life. All in all, I think it's just kind of spooky when you analyze it more deeply, and that's why it's one of my favorite movies and stories of all time. With that being said, that is all for this video.